What's up, y'all? This is Dawn Robinson, formerly of In Vogue and Lucy Pearl, and you're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. My girls.
All right.
I love y'all.
Hi, this is Mason. You're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Perfect.
Hey, this is Leon. That's right, Leon, for some of your favorite movies, and I'm at brunch in the basement with Terez and JaVonne. Stay here with me. Stay here with me. Stay here with me.
Still in the basement, no longer alone, with my homegirl Terez on the microphone. Music, politics, or just chatting it up. Brunch in the basement, see that's what's up. You never know who might run through. Legendary artist or someone brand new. You miss a lot when you miss one day. At least that's what I heard somebody say. But it doesn't really matter what whoever says. It's always a good show with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Brunch in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Let's see who we got today. Come on, everybody's a friend in my head. I already know everybody. Whatever it is, it's gonna be good. One day I'll tell you about me and Shaka Khan, but you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But she doesn't know anything about it. But anyway. No, she doesn't. She wasn't even there actually. But anyway.
Bosses though, Jay. She's got our ears and
I'm gonna send y'all some. I'll definitely get an address. I'll send y'all out.
You can send me some cologne, cause I mean, you know, yeah. Just in case I should meet Shaka Khan, I want to smell really, you know, nice.
Oh God.
Okie dokie, babe. Whatever you say.
The time, so
and we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes,
well, thank you. This part, that little piece, I'm just gonna keep and play it all the time for myself. But no, I'm just teasing.
What's up, Rezzy Pooh?
Hey, what's poppin'? That's a good one to come in too.
You know, that was a little something different right there.
Yeah. You know, that's a B-side, Shaka. Although, you know, not too many. What's the word? Not too many. I forgot what I was gonna say there, but I like the B-sides. You know, I was an album listener, quite like yourself. So
you know that's right. You know that's right.
Although all her B-sides were popular too, though, you know, like
most of them,
you know,
absolutely. You get see, especially like, I mean, typically you buy a Shaka Khan song album, whether it's Shaka Khan by herself or Shaka Khan and Rufus, and you're gonna play the whole album, both sides. You're gonna flip it.
Well, see, that's when you could. She's from the era of joints where you could listen from back to front to liner notes. You know what I mean? Exactly. You just drop the needle or the 8-track.
you put it on the thing, you put the arm over the thing, and you squeeze a little quick thing, and then the record drops down, and then you hear, and before you know it,
Afros, incense, and candlelight. Boom.
that's right.
That's right. That's right.
That's
From
right.
the 8-track era, you know, and the 8-tracks didn't have the reverse, so you had to go all the way through and come back to the song and start it from the beginning.
You know, that's right.
A lot of y'all out there is like 8-track. What?
8-track.
What?
Ooh.
Yeah, 8-track.
Like
the real 8-track, cassette, CD, all of those.
Yup. I'm gonna tell you that song, What You Gonna Do For Me?
What you gonna do for me? Yeah.
Sing it, Razzie. Sing it.
No. I told you I got a little bit of Tourette's, but you know, musical.
Yeah.
But that's it.
That's the song. That's the album that was out that time that Shaka came to the local record store in the Bronx where I grew up.
Yes.
And I opened the store, helped the shop owners, because it was a mom and pop shop, helped them open up this, helped them.
Look at you trying to be an employee just to be the first in line. See?
You know, I was there bright and early, swept the floor, helped them get everything organized, stood outside, made sure the line was back. Y'all got to get back.
Y'all gotta listen to In Chai Private Eye today.
Now you know In Chai, you know I'm about this tall, right? Which makes the story even more funny because Shaka ain't but that tall herself, right? You know that. True. So then you get the visual. I go in, I'm talking to Shaka Khan. There's like a big what do you call it? Like a table, not a table, but the counter between the two of us.
Wait a minute now. I have a thought now. You may not want to remind Shaka that you may not want to tell that whole story because Shaka listens off and on, so you may not want to.
I know, but maybe she'll remember and be like, "That's my girl."
I'm not sure if you want her to remember that.
Well, she would like to know this. I think she would like to be reminded of this particular story.
Yeah,
I think. Well, most of it, until it went left.
Yeah, she might be like, I went left. She said, "That's the mofo we had to have security on."
No. But you know what? Let me just say this: at the end of the day, I received a Shaka Khan kit in the mail after the whole thing was over. So I think that me and Shaka, I think this is something she would like to be reminded of.
Complete with order of protection.
Well, yeah, there was that. But look, okay. So without filling in the fun part, because this is why your wife calls you KJ. All right, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Because fun is in the story, the whole entire story.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna.
But I think you know the story. This is the one with the dangling legs. If you don't, you think this is not a story that needs to be heard, okay, fine. But
word, Rick, word.
I know. Now here's another story that needs to be heard. I was going downtown.
Word, Rick, word.
Sure. All alone, no one to be with. Stepped on the D train to 105th. I saw a pretty girl, so I sat beside her. Then she went, she was Tony the Tiger. Oh, gee, that was like a flashback. Anyway.
You made a mistake, but it was like Rick, not
Frosty Flake. Oh, golly Wally, she was raised in hell. She said, my name is Maggie, but call me Michelle.
Michelle, my belle. All right. See, we can go on and on.
It just reminded me your name is Michelle.
One of them anyway.
Yeah. So anywho, it was the What You Gonna Do For Me album. And I had my little French Star jacket on with my little gang color name on it, Shorty, which back then not everybody wasn't Shorty the way, you know, it is now. Everybody's a Shorty. Everybody's somebody's Shorty.
Shorty or a peanut? Oh, you mean Shorty as in what they call?
That was my nickname, Shorty. Anyway, she was smoking like some kind of white, like Virginia Slim or something like that, like with the white tip and just the white cigarette.
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, you smoke whatever Salem's, whatever they were." I said, "Me too." And I pulled out my Newports. I was 15. I was 15.
15 smoking Newports?
Yeah, when else are you supposed to smoke them?
Oh. Newport.
I wouldn't smoke them damn things now, that's for sure.
Oh, baby. That was like the old English of cigarettes, Newports.
Yo, I couldn't smoke them cools. They were too strong.
Oh, them too.
Yeah, but so after I made a fool of myself and, I had a friend who's very tall named Lori McDuffie. I miss you, Lori. I don't know where you are in the world, but I pray that you are well. We went to high school together. That was my homie. And I told her, I said, yo, Shaka Khan was right at the record shop. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, right down there on Bruckner Boulevard. She was like, what? Right here? She was like, yo, I'm going. And my brother said, did you give her your poems? See, Shaka Khan, if you're listening, I used to write you poems.
Oh,
that's the good part.
Encouraged by Larry Lair.
Larry Lair. And so I was like, you know what? I should bring up. He's like, yeah, and put your address on it. Don't be stupid. I was like, oh, okay. So I put my address on it. We went back to the record store, me and Lori, and we got on the back of the line. I didn't want to, pull rank because, me and Shaka had already built a relationship. But I stood on the back of the line, and we got all the way in, and we got back in, and I was like, hi, I'm back. She was like, hi. She was very sweet. And Lori was like, oh, Miss Shaka Khan, I love you. Could I give you a kiss? And Shaka said, sure. So Lori, who was about 5'11", if not 6 feet, leaned over the counter and planted one on Shaka's cheek. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I was a budding lesbian at that time.
Oh, God. No.
And I thought,
help, Ike, help.
Oh, the possibilities, right? When I saw Lori, I said, can I give you a kiss?
It all goes south from here. It all goes south. It all goes south.
And Shaka said, sure. So I gave her my poem with my address on it, as instructed by my brother, my big brother, who's not that bright, but he's a good guy. And I realized that there was a petition between Shaka Khan and myself. There was one thing keeping me from planting one on Shaka.
You can edit the story here.
Okay. So I just ran back and jumped over and grabbed her, and
you're still going. You're still going, and
so okay. Long story short.
Shorter.
She enjoyed our visit and sent me a Shaka Khan fan club card and a Shaka, which ends up in a later story, like 15 years later. That there's another story with that card, but I always kept that card with me. A photograph, an autographed photograph, which is still prominently featured in the creative corner of my basement, and all kinds of Shaka Khan stuff from that time. It was a great memory, and I think for both of us.
So Governor Cuomo, Governor Cuomo did an interesting thing, right?
Yes, he did. He did. But before we talk about that,
it's her lawyer on the phone. He says one more word, one more use of a syllable. You can't even say the letter C anymore.
Was that another cease and desist?
Oh gosh. Okay. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yes. So, and no, I do not smoke weed, but I think this is the time to start.
Well, let's just say this. Okay. So as we know,
New York.
We've had from the west to the sweeping east, we have had these laws, and you know what I find, and I'm always going to have to be the devil's advocate, right? Well, not always have to, but I'm going to self-elect to do that this particular time. Governor Cuomo and New York, New Jersey, the tri-state area. And I know this is an international show, and I know that other countries that are actually tuned into the show also have had very liberal laws on marijuana. Okay. And, marijuana has been used for medicinal purposes, for years. And quite frankly, if you're going to get ahead and make it recreational, wonderful. If that's your thing, wonderful. But I also say, what about the expungement of all of those petty ass crimes that you've locked people up and given people these improper sentences for under Rockefeller laws in New York State? Now, you're going to have to, before you press go on this, I think that there needs to be strong conversation around what you're going to do with those cases. Because I don't think they should just be dismissed. I think they need to be dismissed and expunged. And, that's it. Now, I'm not talking about the kingpin cases, but, it's always interesting when you can't tax something. And now, disproportionately, I hope that it is going to be because you're starting it, right, New York? Okay, so you're starting this, and you're going to do the recreational stuff, and you've done the medicinal stuff on record. So at this point, I hope it's a fair and equitable thing to have if you're going to go into the marijuana business, because it is a business that's going to be taxable. And I had a feeling, and I think I may have mentioned this on another show, but because of the taxes that, everybody has been, like 2020, and it's still here. So 2020 was a terrible year in terms of commerce and economics in this country. And anything that they can make work right now, they're willing to put on because nothing has changed since your last opinion on it, So at this point in the game, you're going to have some really strong statutes and regulatories put in place, but hopefully it will be fair and equitable. Those are the two words, fair and equitable across the board. Meaning if there's an opportunity for business, cannabis business, I think it needs to start with Black and brown folk and not with corporation jumping in. I think the licenses need to be lenient, affordable for Black and brown folks, for Black and brown folks. That's I'm just going to go ahead and say that. And I think they need to start looking at some of these records. And, like Jersey signed it over maybe over a month ago, and still hasn't pressed go on it. They're getting to that possibly in June, July. But, I think it needs to be fair and equitable. And I think that the states should not, regulate it and do the way they do. Okay, we're only allowing 20 licenses and all of them have gone to dispensaries or, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, white people. Okay.
Absolutely. I've already heard some people, saying, that their business is about to get taxed, and is it going to be fair? Look at what happened with prohibition with alcohol. You had people who were able to make a living out of their tub, backdoor,
whether they should have been or not.
Right. Whether they should have been or not. But, same thing with the weed, right? And those people, once prohibition was over, were out of business.
Well, you know what that all started. That was a campaign started by little Miss Nancy Reagan, you know, in their days of smoking, because she clearly was smoking when she made that law, but allegedly, when she started that whole, you know, what was it? It was a phrase that they used to use back then about smoking dope.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Very interesting. $25 fine or 2,500 community service hours. Okay. Community service. We could use a lot of help with doing a lot of things, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I want to make sure that, you know, I'm hoping that they make sure that people, those criminal things attached to marijuana are all expunged. It affects people being able to live with their parents in the PJs, you know what I'm saying? Because you have a criminal record or whatever. It's stupidness, you know? So I'm just hoping that they get that fixed, you know? And just like drinking, you know, once this well, now that the laws passed, smoke responsibly, you know?
That's next, right?
Kids don't need to have a contact. It's not cute, it ain't funny. So, you know, just be responsible.
On anything, you know, let's not forget alcohol is a drug too.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what I said. Just like with drinking, you know, don't give alcohol to your kids, and drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive, don't dope and drive, you know?
Yeah. I read that book, The New Jim Crow. Yes. Michelle Alexander wrote about this in her new book, The New Jim Crow. Compelling. Yes, Wanda. I agree with you. Interesting. Aiming to discourage children from engaging in illegal recreation drug use by offering various ways of saying no. Exactly. Yeah, that was the war on drugs, allegedly. Now that's interesting about the war on drugs in this country, because you know,
anything in this country. I hate to go back a week. I mean, well, a couple of days, but I've heard that that officer that arrested the black congresswoman said that he had January 6th in his mind when she knocked on the door. I'm like,
come on.
That one black woman reminded you of those thousands of white people.
See, that's where
and ammunition and stuff. I didn't mean to poke the sleeping bear.
The bear ain't slept well since that monstrosity, honestly. And I'm gonna say this too. If that one, see the difference, there's a whole lot of, he said wait a minute. Wait.
Okay, wait. Let's breathe. And we're back.
To my face, right?
Yeah.
All right. What did you say?
I feel like I'm going to be sent to timeout, y'all.
I know I didn't just hear you say that.
I'm just reporting the news. I just reported what I heard.
Okay.
I was watching the news. Was it last night or night before last? And I saw that the officer that arrested her because they were asking him, why would you arrest her? She's a representative, she's a government official, and all she was doing was knocking on the door. And he said, well, I didn't want the other protesters to start rioting, and it just reminded me of January 6th, which is the most ridiculous thing. It was one woman knocking on the door.
He is full of shit.
Exactly.
And you know what? You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that statement? I'm not going to remind everybody that she worked in the building, first of all. I'm not going to remind everybody that she was an employee. So right away, that just kills it all. Yeah. All right. Somebody knocking on the door, no, and no. And honestly, where were you when they could have been taken? Well, then you were needed over at the Capitol, because that knock reminded you of broken glass and people looting and people throwing things and people fighting police officers. There was none of that.
Exactly.
There was none of that.
There was a knock on the door.
And he said that?
Yeah.
What is his name? Now I got to find his name. Now I got to see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
I don't know his name. I
got to find out his name now. I need to find this soundbite. I need to get this name of this guy. And please, I need to send a letter somewhere, because this is ridiculous. Know that what's the difference here? One of these things that just don't belong here, and his statement was the thing. Are we serious?
Yeah.
And escorting her off versus arrested versus being charged are 3 different levels to this bullshit.
Yeah.
You see, this ain't the Breakfast Club. We can talk like
and not one of those people on January 6th got arrested that day. Man, so if you were reminded, why didn't you handle it? Take a picture with her, a selfie with her, like they did with the white folks.
Some of the officers were waving the protesters in. Come this way. And they got that on footage. Come this way, this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, please.
Let me just say this. When it comes to law enforcement, and I think that, some people need reeling in, and there needs to be law. That's just me, right? However, what I will say is that I don't want them to start shooting white folks when they break the law. I just want them to not shoot us the way they don't shoot them. You understand? The way they peacefully arrest them when they are out of sorts or doing something illegal, the way they walk them away from mass murders that they commit, that we don't do that. That's not our thing. Going into ShopRite and shooting everybody, that Stop and Shop and A&P, we don't do that. But that's what they do, and they walk away from it.
I think a good start would be, if you cannot defund it completely and start from scratch, I think that it'd be a great idea if all officers were from the community, lived in the communities that they served. Because you may see Johnny a little differently if you asked Johnny and knew that was just what Johnny did. But you come into other communities, wreak havoc, and then you get to go home. Not fair. Not fair.
See why I love Pop?
Officer E. Dorval and Officer G. Sanchez of the Capitol PD, law enforcement officers, were the. Thank you, Pop.
And let me tell you, Officer Sanchez, shame on you. Sanchez.
You sure it was Sanchez and not Dorval?
I don't know which one of them made that statement, but Sanchez should be ashamed of himself. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry, I had to write their names.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. And it reminded him, that could not have, she couldn't, and if it did remind you, then you seriously have psych issues. Sir, whichever one did it has a psych issue. If they thought that woman knocking on the door, asking the governor why his door was locked, while he signed another voter suppression bill behind it, with nothing in the room with a bunch of white men locked behind a door, was okay. She was not
in a picture of a very popular and really with a reputation of cruelty slave plantation. In that picture,
only thing missing were their hoods. They traded their hoods for the moment for suits. But the reality is, it's so, well, it's not going down. Sorry. You don't get to suppress the votes because you don't like what happened in Georgia. Sorry, you just don't do it. and they're gearing up for something. And don't think just because y'all are gearing up, there's not others gearing up in Georgia as well, and every other state.
All I want to say is I'm glad Sanchez didn't make that statement.
Well, if he endorsed the state, well, he endorsed the action.
I didn't say he endorsed. I'm just saying I'm not giving him kudos because you didn't. He should have what he should have done was say, "Hey, Dorvell, we ain't arresting her. Let's just, we can handle this differently. Don't let her go. We're not taking her all the way. If they had orders, if anybody knocks on the door, blah blah blah, whatever. If that was the order, then pull her to the side and talk to her and let her know, or stand in front of the door so she knock on y'all. But don't, Sanchez should have been looking out. But I'm just glad he didn't make that dumbass statement.
The dumbass action. What's the difference?
Because when you say dumb stuff, that's
like equivalent to getting punched in the face and not saying anything.
What do you mean?
No, that's equivalent to somebody just punching you in your face and not saying a word. Same difference. Your actions speak louder than your words. If he escorted the woman off, it's the same thing. They were in conjunct. They did this in cahoots with each other. They did this in tandem with each other. They both escorted her off, arrested her, and she got charged later on. If they were that in fear of anybody, they could have blocked. It was a door. They could have blocked the door. Dorval was the lead officer. Okay,
that's what I'm thinking. And he said that's why he did what he did. I don't know. I'm not giving Sanchez a complete pass, but I don't know enough about why he was there and what he actually did. Or I know what he didn't do. He didn't stop it. Yeah. But being that he wasn't the boss, maybe he didn't have the power to do that. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
Listen, if the main idea was to remove the woman from the door, they could have done that without arresting her and charging her. Period.
And they charged her federally.
Federally. A colleague. Whose office was probably down the hall somewhere.
And Brandon, most people are with T most of the time, on most of them.
That's not true.
It is true.
That's not
because she's the one with common sense. Okay? My sense is uncommon.
No, I'm the one that will react first because I've sat and threw things up against my own wall at home, and then
But have you seen the walls lately? I'm just saying. Yeah. I mean, but I most people agree with Terez.
That's not true.
They do. It's okay. It's okay. A wise woman was talking to me before the show, talking about, I can't even remember exactly how she put it. And maybe
they both arrested her.
We can
each on the side. Yes, they had her in the middle, carrying her away. Yes, they did.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't say dumb shit like that. It you can't be, well, yes, you can. I was gonna say you can't be playing in the middle, but yes, you can. Sometimes that's kind of cute, being right there in the middle. That's kind of cute, Brandon. Work it.
I like your hair in that picture, Brandon.
I know, cool. Isn't it cute?
Yeah.
You could be in the middle, Brandon.
Pause.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, but
in this country, the veil is coming off a lot of this behavior over here.
See, now you talking my language,
Veil is off. Veil is off.
Yeah.
And it's showing some real mental health issues,
This country is crazy.
All of this, but for years we had been doing this status quo with this stuff, and they done hit us from everything from education all the way down. And you know what? That is one reason why I am super excited about today's guest, for a few reasons. But one, she's smart as fuck. That's one.
Is she?
Yes, always has been. But two, she took that brain of hers and applied it to being being an amazing curator of information, okay, and hitting it directly in the public library sector. You remember those libraries, right? When you had to go, You had to know systems. You had to go. You had to have a card.
Yeah,
you know?
I still have a library card.
You had to take out a lot of these egregious books and study all this nonsense that didn't make no sense and was culturally biased.
Yeah.
He's doing something about that mess.
Good, because in my humble opinion, that is the beginning of reparations. I believe that, right? I believe that. If we do not educate ourselves and our children with the truth, not only when I say ourselves, I'm not just talking about us brown and why was I going to say blue?
Maybe.
Okay, I'm doing a little something in my head, like you said library, I thought high school, I'm thinking they used to call me Smurfette. Blue. Okay, and I'm a Giants fan. So there that went. But anyway, us black and brown people
right
are not the only us that needs to be educated. Us Americans need to be fully, thoroughly educated about the contributions of us black and brown people.
And how about this world wouldn't exist without the contributions of black and brown folks? Blood, sweat, tears, and lives.
Not only that, don't forget what Cousin Jane said.
Cousin Jane Elliott.
Yeah, we all black. She said we all black. We just some of us just lost melanin along the way.
And their minds with it.
Yeah, well.
I'm sorry.
Look, man,
I still say racism is a mental health issue. I don't care how you slice it. It's a mental health issue.
No, it absolutely is. I agree with you on that. Absolutely. And
the very idea that you think you have to be superior to exist with others is mental health. Something's wrong. Girl. And then and all people of color could ever be would be prejudice, not racist, prejudice. Mm-hmm. Racism comes with a capacity to oppress.
Right.
People of color do not have a capacity to oppress anyone in this country.
Right.
Okay. So when you have a friend that's spouting off, oh, that's a racist. No. They are merely ignorant and prejudiced, not racist. You cannot affect things systemically.
This is true.
With your attitudes.
We miss you too, Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
Let me just give a shout out to everybody that's listening right now. We did not take time out to say hey to Misty J. We did say hey to Brandon.
Yeah.
Because his hair is so cute.
Yeah.
Papi Chulo, we love you to pieces.
Debbie Turner.
Wanda Wisdom. Yeah. How y'all doing? We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. If you are listening,
Wendy,
watching on Facebook, please move over to YouTube that way. to YouTube, WJBR Internet Radio. Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, I agree with it being a mental health issue. I don't want whites finding anything else to get off on.
Yes, Elizabeth.
You know what? I do want them to find something else to get off on. Each other. Hello.
Get off on fixing some of the stuff and educating some of your complicit brethren, and and do something about it. And when you see injustices happening or hear about injustices happening from race to equity to healthcare, say something, do something about it. We don't like it.
Yeah,
do something about it.
We can't be so afraid of them that we want them to stop picking on us for this out of fear that they'll find something else to pick up on us about, because they will still be racist if they are still picking on us. So then we need to eliminate racism, period, because it's just stupid.
That needs to be crime, and all the Karens can go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on another level, it's important that it start, like you said, with education. And education can start in your household. And for those that cannot teach it in their household, there are books. And we need to be responsible. Like I said, a lot of things that they had me growing up on, and I'm very limited, but I can only imagine. First of all, once upon a time, it was illegal for us to even be educated.
Yep.
It was illegal for us to be able to read. Okay. So reading has become fundamental. All right. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So the idea that thing, but the stuff they allowed in books, we all know at this point in the game, don't we all know at this point in the game that it's garbage? Yep. You know, Columbus didn't discover nothing, right?
Exactly. And I am about to discover more facts about myself.
What do you mean?
Because this really, really beautiful, I might add, but smart. And smart, not but smart, and smart woman said to me today, once you know facts about yourself, you have to change your self-image. The facts. And honestly, I got some facts about myself today that I did not like. And I really need to work on my shit. I really need to get it together.
Cadillac.
Hello, Catherine Spruill.
Oh, God. Walt, it was illegal to practice our own religion. Yes.
Where's Walt Taylor? Hey, Walt. Oh, can't even see the wave. There you go. She said, no, not. Look, that's what you represent, and that's what you repping on the chat.
You know, I tell you, I could
do a whole rap about that.
What's that?
That's what she's repping on the chat. That's why I didn't call her cat.
Oh.
I thought it would be cruel if I didn't call her Spruill. Oh, I need some music. Wait.
Oh gosh. Yeah, she's definitely feeling better, right, Misty? What a difference.
Woo! I know. Yo,
24 little hours.
We're gonna take a music break. Rezi, what you know about this?
Won't shake you up. Don't be afraid to let me know. There are places, woman, that I can go. Oh, if you don't like it, oh, don't knock it. Somebody else might want to rock it. Ow, you don't need it. Oh, don't waste it. Somebody else might want to taste it.
Just too strong. All right. Don't waste my time with your foolish ways. I've got better things, baby, to do with my days. If you don't like it, don't knock it. Somebody else might wanna rock it. If you don't need it, don't waste it. Somebody else might wanna taste it.
Oh. No. Yeah. Going up, I'm going down.
Going down. All around town.
All around the world.
Okay. I owe you $2 if you could tell me who that was.
That was clearly Diana Ross, and I believe that's Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, I owe you $2. That's what's up.
That's right. Run my quarters.
That's it. I'll give it to you in quarters.
All right. That's right.
That's what's up.
Whoa, 8 whole quarters.
Yes. A lot of people are not hip to that album that they did together. There's a Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross album released on Motown. I don't remember what year it was, circa 1970 something. Because
she did quite a few joints with Marvin. Other than singing about him, since you've been away, I was down and lonely. That was one of mine.
Yeah. But yeah. But that's the only album they did together. A few joints on there that was bad though. A few joints on there. Oh, absolutely. That's my joint. That's my joint. Okay. I had to
One
do
of the good things about growing up in the 70s and having parents that listen to all kinds of music and man, don't get me started on the 70s.
Do you want to explain to Walt why his comment is not going to be put up on the screen? You don't want to tell him?
No, because we don't want her lawyer calling back. Just
yeah, you missed your opportunity.
Yeah, you missed that one. Listen.
In a bag of nickels.
Man, listen. In a very short few, we're gonna have one of my super duper faves. And I have to say this, and before she comes on, I also, because I'm gonna say this internationally, I've told her this directly. Joy L. Rankin. Can we just talk about her for a second?
Well, you know what? Go ahead, talk about her.
All right. First of all, let me just say Joy Rankin is family. Period. All right. And she was my first representative, I could say, that was like my big sister growing up, my first big sister. She was somebody that everybody in our community growing up loved Joy. Period. She taught me how to do my first cartwheel. She was just that dope ass big cousin that represented family and just open and just pure and beautiful. And I didn't know anybody. Everybody wanted to be Joy. Fly ass dresser, popular. You never saw her in any scandal. She always represented herself because, she was a Rankin. She had to do that, Shout out to Aisha and Andre Rankin too. Sonia and Howard Rankin, my aunt and uncle. Okay. Fly ass couple. Married, I don't even know how many years at this point, she's gonna have to say that. I know it's over 30, 40. She gonna have to share that. But just a fly ass, just like I said, growing up in the 70s was super, super dope for so many reasons coming up. Because when we talk about, how we've had conversation about community and the difference of, and in some cases we've kind of failed over the generations, because what we lost is the big mamas started getting a lot younger. In my day, your grandmother was of a certain age. Now your grandmother could be like in her 30s, which is not necessarily a great thing, because 30s is again another milestone. If you found yourself with a grandmother at 30, then that means, somewhere along the line, the generation started having babies earlier, and, we know when that started happening, but we lost a lot of our sense of community that helped. Like, it was a community. We had a tribe, and everybody was responsible for folks. And I still remember, like, most of my education, again, coming from my household and coming from my aunties, and coming from folks that cared about kids. And if we did something, we got it from the tribe. You know what I mean? We got it from the tribe. So at the end of the day, it was like, we didn't have representatives, that showed up and did weird things to us because we were all protected, and then knowing things about African history, our parents were traveling to Africa, getting off planes and doing those things together, It was a shout out to Gail Riddick. And I say that because, I got to say her first and last name in that, because she was posting the other day on Facebook. She gave me a memory from and I don't always go through Facebook, I'm not on social media every day, not even every other day. But this particular day, I'm happy that I was, because I was feeling in a space and I was just kind of, scrolling. And I saw a picture that she posted with our parents literally getting off the plane in Africa. And I said to myself, how you figure out when you're trying to list the sum of your pieces, because, we are all a sum of our experiences and our pieces, right? And hopefully whatever pieces didn't serve us, we spent time working on, and getting better or shedding those skins. But she posted these beautiful pictures of our parents getting off the plane in Africa, and they were all in their African gear and just like, and I'm like, we come from a bad ass tribe. We do. You know, so I wasn't surprised when Joy went on to do amazing work at Essence magazine, and she still doing it in the community, and she raised 2 beautiful sons, and you know, like I wasn't surprised, you know, at all in any of that stuff, you know, because she's always been an amazing ass dope soul, you know. So when we started talking about books, and we've had, you know, Jane Elliott on the show, and you know, she talked to us about education, and that's something you always say about, you know, educating, where we can start. You know, she's got some things that she's been working on and doing for a very long time that impact community. Her work still impacts community, sisterhood, you know, still. So at the end of the day, you know, there's just not too many things. There are not too many things I can say that I don't even know if there's a word that describes Joy other than just saying her name, what she is. She's always been Joy, you know, just so many. You know, shout out to Aisha, because I know you're watching. Kubi. Oh, did I just say her nickname? International. She's always been Kubi. She's still gonna be Kubi. But Aisha, you know, another one. And you know, it's just, you know, for a long time it was just Joy. Aisha came many beats later, as sisters. But at this point in the game, like she's worked at and has done curriculum, and I'll say curriculum because anytime you introduce books or you are part of making sure books are in there that represent us, that's a big deal. Because they're not only there for us, they're there for others to erase some of the history that they have depicted upon us that wasn't ours. Like, again, you like to say this, JaVonne, we were not slaves. We were enslaved, you know? Our history didn't start with slavery. And we need to catch our babies very young and introduce them to the kings and the queens that they came from and the kings and the queens that we are as a culture, you know, and knowing that she's one of the shepherds of this information and she started other things to help us, you know, get that part together. That's the doing. That's the verb. What's your face looking for like that? You watching her in the green room or something?
No, I'm just listening to you.
You're like,
no, I'm just like, I'm just listening to you because, you know, we still have 10 minutes before she comes on. So I'm just wondering how much more you want to tell us, and then she won't have anything to say about herself.
She don't say it because we don't ask her questions. She don't say it. She's gonna say it.
No more questions, Rez.
I'm making statements. Like the questions didn't come yet.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear about maybe perhaps she stumbled upon some races. I want to know how hard it was. Real talk. You know, I want to know how hard it was for her to just be in that and do that. What made the choices for her? So many questions. Still a lot.
You know, I love you.
I ain't mad at nothing.
Don't be. We were talking about how wonderful you grew up. Not that I got to watch it, but she did. So we were chatting a little bit about you and your tumble salts. No, we weren't really talking about that, but
listen, she could do a no-hand cartwheel. We used to be like,
what?
Yo,
no,
bad.
Fabulous.
Bad.
Fabulous. But before she comes on, I am feeling this music energy. I am so sorry. I gotta play something. I'm just feeling the music energy. So, and right after the music energy, we're gonna bring on the fabulous Joy Rankin.
Music in the street, funky music in the street. Do you hear it? Hear the music? Can you hear it? Hear the music? I hear music. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? Hear the music? Hear it? I hear music. Can you feel the music? I hear music. I hear music. Hear the music. She wakes up early every morning just to do her hair now because she can't y'all. Her day wouldn't be right without her makeup. She's never had a makeup. She's just like you and me, but she's homeless. She's homeless. And she stands there singing for money. La, 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 la.
All right, that's all.
Oh, you got that off? Shout out to Smokey Mitchell. What's happening, Smokey?
Yeah, man, I had to get that out my system. That was like I felt the music in my.
Yeah, little Louis Vega snatch. Okay.
Yeah, that sometimes that sometimes it happens. Like
Yes. That leads me into Chic, and you hear that bass line, boom, 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 boom. You hear that Nile Rodgers. Stop playing. You hear Nile Rodgers.
So now, would you like to introduce our fabulous guest for tonight? For tonight.
Well, I get the pleasure and the honor of introducing y'all to somebody, if you don't know, you should. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous, the amazing, the gifted, all in her name, Miss Joy Rankin. Yes.
How you doing?
I know how I'm doing. Y'all know how I'm doing. So first of all, y'all grown for real. Y'all threw the house music on. I got some of my house heads checking this out, and we're like, wait, what? They've been doing this how long now? What? Some Saturday? Some going on? We didn't have what?
I gotta slip it in there when I can, Joy. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then I gotta slip in a little house, a little something.
Definitely not top 40.
Yeah, this is powerful. So let me just say that I am so grateful to you, cousin Terez. I won't use the other name right now. I just use Terez for now. JaVonne and I had that story already, that talk. And this is wow. This is what it is. This is what the people are waiting for. We're hungry. We've been hungry, and you've been feeding us. So we get excited when we got some good cooks in the kitchen in the back.
Welcome.
So, yeah. So grateful for that. How long y'all been doing this? Let me start my interview with y'all. What is this? What's going on here?
You can go after us because there's so many. I don't get an opportunity to have family and someone I absolutely adore and have adored you, Joy, since I was a little bitty thing. Okay. So like I said, this was my first big sister in my head. When I was her big sister, she was my big sister rather, before she was a big sister. Right. For real. At least to a young lady. She always had Andre. Like, shout out to Andre, to Aisha, to Gail, to actually Reggie, like all of the crew, that just made us all, like Sheila, all of them, just shout out to everybody. I know I didn't miss too many of them coming in the introduction, but just Joy, you have always been our hero, growing up. And I am not at all, remiss on the fact that you have done some amazing things in the world, and just moved according to just your own energy always, So can we talk about the Diggable Library and then work our way back? Where do you want to start?
First, I want to start with the basement. So all of these stories that Terez is sharing with you, they started in the basement.
All right.
So literally in the basement. So, I'm excited to know that all of them, for everybody that's on now and listening, we got plenty basement stories. So I'm going to start with that. So I come to this basement standing on the shoulders and definitely prepared by so many who, taught me in the basement and then sent me out of the basement. So, I'll start with that. It's the Diggable Library Lounge. So there is a backstory how that got birthed. I think for the most part, I want to start with no matter what your role and your position or what livelihood you've been walking in for many years and for a few minutes, you will, or if you haven't already been, the Colin Kaepernick of your profession. I have to say that first. Because I think when you make those kinds of stands and when you stand on something that you really believe is the right thing to do, and you see so much unravel because you've done what you knew in spirit, it was the right thing to do. It's exciting to know that something else is being birthed. People tell you that all the time, and you just think it comes out of a great book. This is going to cause this other great thing. You're like, yeah, right. And it happens to you. And so the Library Lounge became the space that I knew I had to create so that Black people in particular were able to navigate in libraries in a way that they never usually can, because we don't talk about codes in every profession as well. A lot of code switching. So for me, thankfully, to have had the role of leadership at the top tier of libraries, I was able to get inside and see some stuff that was like, oh, this what they doing to us? Yeah, these keys are important. So
can you give us a little specific on that?
Yeah, so let me straighten up a little bit and get we just gonna put all that at the end of the night.
Oh no, we get it in. We only got an hour. Yes.
Okay, it's important to go in. So, to become a director in a library says a lot, because it says a lot to the community and it says a lot about the people who elect you to come on board. And so you have one group of people who are in total agreement that you should be the voice for a community that's diverse, that looks different, that has a little bit of everybody. But then when you're placed and planted in those spaces and you're working among the Karens and you're working among the rioters and you're working among very quiet spirit and energy that's there to not really support the whole cause of bringing everybody in, but in some way making sure it has keys to a room it never really wants you to go in. So, that to me was important because I was never the person that fought for these kind of roles and positions. As a matter of fact, when I got there, I was like, look, I don't want to be the Rosa Parks of libraries. I just want to do this job and do it well. I just want to be the director. I want to show how the library can be a spirit outside of the building and show how it needs to really include everybody. And I said the code word. You know what, staff? I feel like we should take an opportunity to really look at the entire community. So as we're hiring, that's a buzzword, that's a code word. As we're hiring, let's start selecting people who also look like the people of the community. And the invisible clutches got snatched. And how could she say that? She was a problem when she came in with that afro. I do a lot of manipulating with my mane, and I go in because sometimes it's what you got to do to get to the spaces that you're called to really do the work. And so, sometimes I'm in tears, like I gotta pull my hair back. I gotta do something just to get through the interview. Anyway, so that said, once you release more of yourself in those spaces, people get scared of you because you're never trying to impact the community in a way that language has just never been used. So in libraries, and they're not all libraries. Let me be correct in saying that, because I've been in several libraries and I've been a director in two different libraries, and I had two very different communities and audiences. And when I'm working with people that look like me, there could be some stuff that happens there as well. So I'm not gonna in some way act like that's you won't have those challenges. Mm-hmm. But when black people punch you in the stomach, it looks and feels very different than white people punching you and slapping you. Mm-hmm. It's two different hits. Mm-hmm. I could take family hits. Mm-hmm. I eat those. We all have. Mm-hmm. Maybe come back to the family reunion and forget whatever. Because I'm eating your mac and cheese and you eat my collard greens. Whatever it is we gonna do. Right. Punching that other slap, and especially if you're in a profession that nobody in your family has really been in and in your life has really been in those spaces, mm-hmm. You're navigating on your own. I can know an aunt that used to be a director of the, or a uncle that used to run the library systems of whatever county. Mm-hmm. I don't really have those spaces. So, when we go in those areas, and there's many areas, so it's not just libraries, but that just happens to be, a space that I have navigated for a lot of years. So I've been, library director, but also ran school systems, library programs in Atlanta. And so I get to see what happens on the educational front through libraries, mm-hmm. and I get to see what happens in the public domain in libraries, and I also get to see a little bit of what happens in academic libraries. Mm. So they are a key, and Diggable Library Lounge again was birthed and still being guided, so that I think it's important that a voice is created so that when we go into it, it speaks to us in a way that those institutions just don't speak to us. They don't really regard us in those ways. I mean, everybody's trying their best to figure it out now, especially in the wake of everything going on. Even as I'm talking now, I sometimes like to stop myself, because it's like, what does that mean with everything else we are watching and we are feeling and we are experiencing? Is your work meaningful to engage with what we really need to be focused on? Mm-hmm. So, just being clear of distractions. Mm-hmm. So, even, being in the office and you going to bat with somebody over something stupid like, I know you came here and took this out the break room and now that's a debate. Like, we gonna fight about this? Mm-hmm. Distractions for what's really out there. So when I indicated, we're gonna look at some brown people, some black folk, to look at some of these roles in these positions, that became, the beginning of taking what I had thought was a career path. And they didn't take it. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't take it. It was an elevation. Mm-hmm. You don't know that it's time. You're like, oh my God, my salary, my kid, my this, that. And then there's so many levels. It's not just taken away because you get ready to do something. It's taken away because it could be affecting your children. Because now we move to communities that don't want us there. Mm-hmm. So that we can get them in right schools, or I gotta live out here to work out here. Or now I gotta put my kid in an office for 5 hours, so I go to a meeting. Mm-hmm. All the things that we do, and you have no idea how that's impacting your entire family, your entire foundation.
I think it's amazing in and of itself, because once upon a time, and first let me just give a shout out to Gail Riddick. I said her name and then I see her face. I see her comment pop up. I think it's amazing because I had to remind folks, once upon a time, it was illegal to educate us. It was illegal for us to read. When they found out slaves was reading, it was like, wait a second, we had to pretend we weren't. So I know, and then like even coming up when I was younger, and I told this story to Jane Elliott, in fact, when she was on the show talking to us, I had to correct a teacher because my mother taught me that Columbus didn't discover Duke. He didn't discover shit. And here we have in this book I'm reading, she'll be back. In this book that I'm reading, it says how Columbus, and we were being tested on this, Joy. We were being tested and we had the answer to the question was, yes, Columbus discovered America. And that was in conflict. I said, but my mother told me, no, he didn't. And I'm raising my hand. And you remember how small my voice was then. That was, we weren't challenging the elders. And, we were seen and not heard generation. And we didn't, they didn't mix us with the adult conversations, So I'm raising my hand and I'm saying, well, my mother didn't teach me that. She said, and I got taken out that class in a very aggressive, traumatic way. You know, thank God they called my mother, you know, because at that point, I remember it was Ludlam School. Yeah, shout out to Ludlam. But once upon a time, it just wasn't right. Anything after that. I'm just glad that she came and got me and then told me how to pick and choose what I choose to share. And she taught me the difference between taking a test and it being the real information. And it was all what she didn't teach me, though, was that it wasn't for me to say that out loud.
And good for her for saying that.
At that point, you know, but I was still conflicted. I was conflicted for a minute because I'm like, well, if this is the truth, why aren't they teaching us that? That came to Ludlam School, Joy. So, and I know that having, you know, books are an amazing thing, and books are, you know, they're powerful because they're a record of something, and it's just something that, you know, our kids, like, I need to pick up a book. If I had children, I have no biological children, although I say I have 30 children, but I have no biological children. And I'm thinking, like, if I had books to share things with them, with our faces on the cover and our story, you know, because we didn't start with no damn slavery, you know, but that's where it starts for us. Yeah. If I picked up a book when I was a kid that said kings and queens and showed us where we came from and talked about, you know, the slave trade and things like that in ways that didn't benefit, you know, the folks that did it, where would our lives and where would the education, not just for us, but for other people to understand, you know? So here you are at a library, which is a gateway for that kind of stuff, you know, like how difficult, or what was, when you first entered the library system, what kind of books were you seeing that were available to us then versus, you know?
Okay, I want to pick up where you just, you know, Terez, everybody that's here, you know, Terez, and she tells that cute little story she just told about how she was quiet and she was just kind of laid back and raising her hand. That wasn't her as a kid either. And that's why I knew, it was like, she's different. It's gonna go. So she had an oldness about her. I often said, do I have to watch her? Because I don't think she's going to listen to me. Those questions she's asking. That's a backstory. I understand that because it's important to talk about a couple of things. I curate a lot of stuff. So there's a special collection that I'm working on at the Roosevelt Public Library. Shout out to Roosevelt. The collection that I'm working on belonged to the first chair of the Africana Studies Department for Nassau Community College. His name was Kenneth Jenkins. And so he has a collection that I've been just delving into and breaking up and putting in different places. So today I've listened to a recording that he had, because he has, I can't even begin to tell you the volume of his collection. It will be produced and it will be available soon. So something I was listening today, and it was Stokely Carmichael's recording of Free Huey. So I said, let me just listen to a few minutes. Let me just drop something. Let me drop the stuff today. See how it bubbles up, how it shows up in the basement, right? And one of the things that he commented about was schools are supposed to do two things. They either take our kids and prepare them for the communities they already live in. So that means whatever roles and positions and how are they sustained in the communities they are in? Schools are supposed to prepare them to do that. And schools can also, if they're not doing that, then they should be helping to change their minds to come out to make the community better. And that stuck out to me because he used examples of who was in the community, and he used what felt like, a time of the 70s. And he mentioned pastors and pimps and, street dudes, whatever it was, he was saying, how are you preparing kids when they go to school to come back into those spaces? What will they be better at? Whatever. And that stuck out. And I said, okay, if you're going to really unfold and unpack education, looking at how does it impact where you live and how you engage with the people around you as an adult. So when you're a young person and you have no voice, and that's what we're watching. Young people have absolutely no voice in those decisions that's made for them. You know, you have to learn X, Y, and Z. And if you can't reverberate that back to me, I'm giving you an F. When I'm in a classroom, I usually say to students, let me start out by telling you, I'm teaching who you are 10 years from now. So if you 8, think about that. I'm not talking to you who you are right now. This is this is a 10-year jump. And then I have to talk, I don't talk in code, but I have to indicate to students, this is what they want you to repeat. And then it's the truth. Or try to engage them in thinking of the process of, that doesn't make any sense. And it's okay to let kids know that that doesn't make any sense, because you have to help develop that gut for them. You know, we are such feeders right now. We don't let our kids stumble. We don't let them get hurt. We don't let them get in trouble. You know, we'll get on them, but we don't let them go in the world where they really get that lesson. And so, you know, if you teach them, they can get in a classroom and knowing their teacher don't know what they're talking about. I have pretty interesting sons. They have very vast, different interests in life. But one thing was for sure, they have in some way conveyed to me, you are letting them kill us. You know, intellectually and, you know, academically. So, you know, even watching those faces, there are people who are listening and they know they have and you're putting them in schools that will never recognize that brilliance. And even when you fight and bring it to their attention and say, hey, well, he got this grade or that grade, and, you know, what's happening with him getting in this gifted program? Because they don't fight for our kids to get gifted program.
Tell me about it.
Make sure they fight to get us in the special ed program. And the state and the school gets the same amount of money, whether your kid is in gifted or special ed. So it's all of those unearthings. When you're showing up in spaces when you know you can get not just the keys to the room, because get in the room and do what? But it's what you get. Like if I get this information, am I going to just hold this to myself? Well, when do I get to go out and say, guess what I found, y'all? And I think all of us do that because we have friends that, you know, they're pretty savvy when it comes to finding information, telling you what to call, and girl, I can show you how you can get, you know, and you don't got to pay your rent for 18 months or what, you know, it's a bunch of stuff that we know and we do it without question. We just dole out our goodies because that's just how we are in spirit. We just stay here and then we go, oh, I should have asked for money for that. You know, that's a whole nother conversation. But
now you're singing my song.
So even with books, I've been working with young people with books. That was my first profession. I was a children's librarian. And the first time I was at work and a patron came in, and I'm one of those people, we going all out. You're not leaving here till you have everything you need. And I need to know, I can look you in your eye, I can tell you know what you got.
Right.
So I had a patron come in and ask for a book. And they didn't have it on the children's side. I said, wait, these same call numbers work on the adult side. Let's go see where it has it there. So I run on that side of the library and I'm going through, and they don't have the person. No, they do have the person's book that they want, but right next to it was 10 little niggas. What is this? Whoa. Guys, you know Agatha Christie, right? And then there was that book was first titled 10 Little Niggas. But we'll talk about that later maybe because I work in the collection that I do. It's not that it's pretty special, but because this gentleman, thankfully, he was a holder of like a container of all kinds of information and books and material. And before I got to his collection, remember, I had just started my job as a children's librarian and found that book and, you know, graciously, what I thought went to the head of my department. Look what I found. This is horrible, right? This should be taken off the shelf. She was looking like, you're not going to last here long, lady.
Wow.
And I did. And actually, you know, I was the first Black librarian at that library in Long Island. And I was let go for a friend who I got a job there, a young Jewish girl. They gave her my job and I had to take them to court. Yeah, so that was astounding. That's a turning point for me at that particular, you know, in that particular space. Fast forward years later, I became a director at a library in that same community, not the same community, but out in Suffolk County. And I had to go there for an event, like a meeting, a quarterly meeting. And I was stepping back in that same building as a director and not the children's librarian that they fired years and years and years ago. Yeah, that was bittersweet. That was nice.
So you would think that a library would be culturally diverse, to represent not only the community, but what the information that's held in it. Am I being naive to even say that?
Oh, no,
you know what? I think in a culturally diverse land, the library would be culturally diverse. But in America, the libraries are going to be probably more than likely reflective of the culture and the people of the land. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. I just want to plug in my charger. I'm sorry. It's just you plug in. This happens.
Plug away. Plug away.
We'll do a music break.
Yeah. Okay. Do you see the running chat in the comment section to your right of the screen? You don't see it?
I do. No, I don't see it.
Okay. It's a are you on private chat? It's a private chat and it's comments. If you switch over to the comment side, you can see all of the running chat.
Am I gonna want to do that?
Well, it looks like a lot of your family, people who know you and love you,
beautiful people
commenting. Yeah. As well as some people who are just getting to know you right now.
That's nice. That's good to know. I mean, again, all those spaces that we show up in, because we show up in the spaces that we show up in. We bring all of those experiences with us. We don't know that. They just happen to become tools in a toolkit. And, stuff is unfolding. You're like, I think I got something that will power me up with this, this blade or this, whatever it is that needs to be taken out for the journey at the time. So libraries are very interesting in that they have been, it's been not a place of contention, but yes, and at the same time, a place of contention. See, for a minute, I was really locked in on sundown towns. I think you and I talked about that, Terez. And if anybody's familiar with sundown towns, those were towns that openly indicated if you were Black, you needed to be out of that town by a certain time. And then there's like Anna, I think it's Anna, Illinois, and it's Ain't No Niggas Allowed or something. And I'm a big Lovecraft country fan. And so when that episode came on and they told me, hey, it's a sundown town, you got to that's real. That wasn't just made up for the show. That's why I love this show so much, because they put so many elements of truth. So I always think of things like whose story isn't being heard here. That's what I'm always looking for. So I do other things in other spaces, but in sundown towns, I started thinking, well, what was the library's role in a town where everybody had to be out by? They can't be walking in that town. That still happens. We don't talk about it, but there's communities, Terez on Long Island. You can't be in Garden City. They'll drive you back to the brown side of that line. And that happens everywhere. I don't think that just stopped. It's how we talk about it and how we like, well, you're not supposed to be over there, and I don't know why you expected somebody to tell you that. It's almost like that you ain't supposed to go nowhere near. Nobody can tell you that. You see what can happen. You see what happened to so and so. So we, in the same way, it's like, so we're not talking about this. So library.
Are there any books or because a legacy strategist? Now that's huge in my brain. A legacy strategy for the Destination Design School.
Okay.
Can we talk about what a legacy strategist is? Because that seems like if I had to write about like legacy, like the word alone says so much. But tell us what it is for you.
I think I felt the same way when I had to create. Like, what you want me to call myself? I don't think the people I know, or even myself, will understand that just hearing it. So that's really an easy space to describe for me, and it will be for you now. So legacies for me are not just people, but a legacy can be an experience. A legacy can just be something that took place, and a couple of people were important to making that happen. So it becomes a legacy. So I work for a school that has no walls. So it's a design school that really looks at spaces where our stories are, and we unpack them and we tell them in a way that people walk away saying, oh, we had no idea that took place, in 1925. And, these people in this area were impacted to this degree. So right now, even though the Destination Design School is the name of the umbrella school itself, the curriculum we're working on right now is called Digging Du Bois. And so what we've done is went back to the Black Belt South, that runs through 11 states. But in the state of Georgia, it's a 200-mile trek. So we've identified plantations that ran through Georgia because they run through the 11 states, and it was known as the Black Belt South. So so it wasn't the Black Belt South it's almost known by two things: the soil and also the presence of Black people. It was called the Gold Coast because that's where plantation life thrived. And in that same trajectory, where that same area of plantation life thriving is now an impoverished area where Black people still live in those same spaces that they never migrated away from. So the Digging Du Bois project is looking just at the Georgia portion of the trail and following all the important places that W.E.B. Du Bois talks about in the First Black Folks. Wow. Because that's where he started, and he actually got, he went through these different points in Georgia to guide him in the writing of that book. So I work with a sister named Roger Sips, and she actually is the founder of this particular project. And I've come on board to tell the untapped and hidden stories that took place along that 200-mile trek. So identifying which churches along the track, how did they play a part? Any kind of, with schools, it's almost like it's not an underground railroad, but along that track, and it's an actual walking track, and it's an actual track that people can actually at some point get on, and we'll be showing people the pivotal things and the most important things that we think are the standout in regards to W.E.B. Du Bois's work along that particular track. So in that case, I'm a legacy strategist. So I try to show them, listen, based on his book or based on some history here, these people or this particular group of people in this time frame did X, Y, and Z to make sure people got access to food and water. Or they went through some time when, the education it's still there. I mean, all the different plights and challenges are still along that trek. Like I said, it runs 11 states. Yeah.
Speaking of Georgia, I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a question. We had to peel the onion a little while because the last show that we had, I lost my mind. That was right after the Representative Park Cannon was escorted from the door, right? What's your take on that bullshit, Joy? What's your take?
Oh my gosh. So even as you guys were, I was in the back room, Vaughn put me in the green room or whatever.
She was there the whole show, the whole entire show.
In the green room, ain't nothing to drink in the green room. Like, I was here by myself. I had fun out there, and people like the lady in the green room said she got to go to the bathroom. So Georgia. So I just moved back to New York in the hot heat of everything going on. So my dad mail kept coming and following me to my parents' house. He was like, who's this Ossoff guy they keep sending you a flyer of? What's going on?
Shout out to Uncle Howard.
Yeah, so apparently, of course they were like, get the vote. How we can get? I was like, no, I ain't gonna touch that because I want to make sure y'all are good. Nobody gonna say somewhere I was here and that happened there. Mm-hmm. So, to see this unfolding, sometimes there's two reactions. You almost feel like, I'm glad I got out of there just in time. Meanwhile, you're running into a different fire, right? Mm-hmm. This fight is not for us to feel like we just made it out of we just made it out, because we haven't. Because if anybody's still in, we all in.
That's
right.
Say that again, please. Please. People need to hear that, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm following what's known as the Ubuntu concept. You know, if your plate is my plate, you know, and your celebration of life is also my celebration of life. So we ain't out of Georgia. I don't care what states we live in. That's a state of mind. That's a state of mind. And I think, you know, my son, it's been very interesting listening to him, especially as Black men navigating all these spaces that, you know, you just take it for granted. You feel happy that your kid makes it to being 18 and nothing happened to him.
As a Black woman, yes.
21, oh Lord, he made it to 21. 25, oh Lord, he made, you know, and that should not be. But the devastation and the ripping and the tearing us from the inside out is for all of us. So something he's been expressing to me and we've been talking about is, and it's real, it's PTSD, you know. So what starts happening to Black and brown people, especially Black men, if they're in a constant cycle of school trouble, it's then attached to some kind of, you got to go to court. You going to court because you went to the bathroom too many times, or you didn't ask because you sharpened your pencil. Yeah, there's courts that are connected to our kids being put in those systems, depending on where we live. So we lived in Georgia. And if you're not careful, it is destroying Black families because you start attacking each other, and they sit back after, you know. Anyway, all that, you know, I'm saying that to say that kind of wearing on you over time. How do we keep sustaining each other and then showing each other, you know, the fight is not yours alone. So, you know, always trying to encourage, you know, just trying to, you know, keep not just my kids encouraged, but all kids, you know, because I've worked with kids all my life. You know, again, my conversation is always who they are 10 years from now. Who are you 10 years from now? So, I don't think I answered that question, but yeah.
When you talk about you know, the PTSD that's suffered by Black men and us as a community, it is playing out on live television during the George Floyd trial.
Yeah.
People are breaking down. I mean, grown men are just weeping on the stand. And yes, because of what they witnessed, but also because of lifetime and lifetimes in their DNA. This thing, you know, this public lynching, it's just impacting us in a particular way. I think not only us though, it's terrible. Let me just ask you if your Diggable, where did you get the name, first of all? Diggable Library. Where did that come from?
So I started initially with, there's a lot of things I started with. Everybody gonna know what that is. I was like, no, it's the core of 3 no, because it's the core of yourself. It's the core of your what you need to live, and it's the core of your creator. And that's a scripture, you know, core of 3 no, but it's usually used for people getting married, you know, the band of and then by some people are like, yeah, people don't go to the library as it is, and you doing that, yeah. I don't think nobody gonna really pay you any attention with that one. So I said, okay, I'll just name it the Digital Library Lounge. And you know, they have the digital library, and lounge to me, I kind of was feeling like I gotta make this thing sexy. I gotta make people feel like they came into the smoke room and, you know,
make it sexy.
I want to make smart sexy again. You know, I want that to be sexy.
I like that. Make smart sexy again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Make it all sexy. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I'm also, I mean, I feel like I touch on a lot of musical generations and just, you know, thought processes. And, you know, even though that word diggable is very, you know, can be very 70s, and then at the same time, people get it because it's hippifying it. You know, it's almost like, you know, what is this? Is it supposed to be cool? Let me check it out. And then, you know, of course, I don't want to, because I'll do things and I'll be working on the space and trying to create it and be like, I don't have this skill, but I'm going to give it my best. And that's where I've realized that, you know, finding language so that people understand that they belong in those spaces. So that's what I ultimately am still working on the site, not just the site, I'm trying to working on a podcast. JaVonne, I'll talk to you later. So doing all those other pieces so that I can guide people in, because I'm really here to show you how to pimp your library card. So I'm always telling people, get a library card. I'm going to tell you, you're going to get some things and you'll be like, really, Joy, I don't need all of this. It's like, no, we just get it. It's my son came to me earlier. He was like, Mom, so we're not going to buy Rosetta Stone. You're really making me use the site on the library thing of yours, the lingo languages. I said, yep, they got 80 languages. You up for Japanese and I'm taking Swahili. That is what we're doing. But I just say that to say, you know, people don't know. And so, you know, and the people there are a lot of people who hear and they do know. And that's the thing. We know things and we don't know that that's a shareable thing. Like, we just take it for granted. That's a very shareable thing. So it's my excitement that, you know, be able to put a voice on it, not just a voice, but be able to, you know, find some, you know, some rock star librarians. And they out there. It's a bunch of them. As a matter of fact, 3 things I was going to mention when I first jumped on the air. Yes, Shaka Khan. Everybody got a Shaka Khan story. I ain't gonna tell mine until I get my own show. That's first. Shaka Khan. It's not the same as JaVonne's story.
Wait. Wait. Okay, say your 2 and 3, and then we gonna go to number 1. Though. Go ahead.
Other one like, oh, legalize marijuana in New York. I was like, hey, well, I'm in Arizona, and if you know anything about, well, see, I don't know nothing really about it. And until my son said, Mom, you want to taste this? I was like, why? Why am I tasting this? Well, is it a drink? Because I want a drink. Yeah, it's a drink, Mom. Then I was like, no, I'm going to the second place. You shouldn't have given me this. It was nothing I could do about it because I'm in Arizona and it's very, you know, I think the whole city is pumped with some stuff. That's the thing. The other piece was you talked about, you know, what's going to happen? Reparations. That's what it was, right? Reparations. And I kept thinking how there was a story. Well, Evanston, Illinois started to really, you know, jump on this whole, like they passed the law and people being given money for new homes or to buy a home. And the money that they're using is the taxing money from marijuana for reparations. That's really where the conversation. I got excited about that because there was a librarian who, there's a story around her and her being ousted out of her position. And she was referred to as the cranky librarian. And she was there at the Evanston Public Library. But, you know, that's just a geeky thing of mine. Like, who else getting kicked out of there? You know, not kicked out, but who else is being allowed to be free? Because there's a freeing when you're detached from the root of, you know, all the different things you have to kind of, all the different things you have to cover and be respectful to.
That's spaces. One perspective. And it also could mean that God is moving you, you know, moving you by force and tribulation. So that this is part of the trial that you, for whatever your space and place is really supposed to be. That's where you're always
feeling a high from you guys. And it's not Arizona. I just may be clear about that. This is what excites me, you know. So thank you.
There's room. We come from a place of abundance. There's room. Your voice needs to be heard in a whole lot of places.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rez.
And in terms of what you have to give, you need to be on a platform where you can be in one place and hit many people at a time. You know, there's one thing, you know, that's one thing about having a website, but when you have you showing up in a space. Because Joy, there's never been, you know, and I've known you for almost all my life, damn near. You know? So at the end of the day, it's like I don't know of a space that can hold you. So you are basically, I mean, real talk. You know, you need to really just like, and I know that you've been kind of, the reason why stuff hasn't landed in that about how you should do your personal mechanism is because it's so big. It's probably not something you could wrap your head around like that. But I mean, you need to be in one place where you are just like universal, period.
And do and say whatever the hell you want to.
Right. Uncensored. Just the way
I'm listening to both of y'all. I'm like, now see, I've been hanging out with y'all. We walking around the hallway. Y'all getting me hyped up. Then I go outside and be like, this girl really want to fight me. And y'all don't talk me into coming out here.
Well, it comes with some
because we're gonna have your back, though.
Yeah, listen, it comes with some stuff. Like media, a lot of people that do this kind of stuff, you know, and JaVonne has a saying that I've adopted. And it's almost, and this may sound extreme, but her saying has been, be worthy of the bullet coming to get you. Because at the end of the day, you are like one of those unpackers of truth and knowledge. So, and a lot of people just don't want us to have it. Yeah. And
that's a scary space. Like I said to you earlier in the conversation, especially if you're navigating in something that you think is, oh, I'm gonna just do this over here and this nice little neat. Now, you got all this raw about you in other arenas. And then you're in an arena that you like, when I go to work, this is what I do. And I try my best to make sure. And I wasn't always like that. So for me to even be put in a position where I had to be, I've always been a people person, but I've never had to be in a position where I'm like, I really care about if this is going to go south, if I say something a certain way. So I really never had to navigate that level of conversation with people, to get the job done. So, when you're put in that space, that is because there is something bigger that's trying to happen. I do believe that.
You can't fail, Joy.
That's true.
You cannot fail.
That's true.
But you just have to be aware that your voice on a platform like this is an international space we're on. Like there's some folks in Turkey that are listening to us right now. There's some folks in Italy that are listening to us right now. Folks that again, you can be in one place, but be in space. And I think that with the knowledge that you've acquired over the years, the education, the trials, all of those are like jigsaw puzzle pieces that can land and you can create your own universe doing exactly what the hell you do for sure, with nobody telling you it's right, wrong, indifferent, nobody censoring it. You just have to be prepared for what that comes with when you step out your door. Because, the bigger you get, of course, there's an expression, more money, more problems. Well, I don't think you'll have that issue. You'll have a resistance, a level of resistance, because, there are people that don't want us to have the information, Joy, and you got it. There are people that don't want their systems interrupted, and you will be a disruptor of sorts.
Oh,
because that's what it is,
I believe in feeding the feeders. So that's important to me. So when you have young people in front of you, they are crying. They are dying to be saved in those school settings, and, we have some well-meaning people, but well-meaning people are like, hey, look, we can go in the kitchen, in the cafeteria, in the little side and make these hot dogs. I'm going to feed you. I'm not going to teach you, I'm going to feed you. Or, hey, if you guys act right, I'm going to, and there's some other option, but it's not even, it has nothing to do with who they are. And they tell us every day, and they're at home. They're in homes and spaces too, where the neglect is real. Absolutely. The neglect is real as well. So I've worked with all kinds of students, so I know it's important that that feeding is happening in both spaces. If we, they need to be happening at home and they need to be happening in school. And so
you need to meditate on what the name of your show is going to be. Just meditate on what that is, whether it's food for thought or whatever it is. You meditate on what your shout out to Lynn Banks too. Shout out to Lynn Banks. The
family's here.
Yes. See what I'm talking about? And again, and I ain't lie because I'm talking about community. And I've seen a few names I haven't seen in a while. And it's almost like, you come from a tribe. I've seen a lot of tribes show up here on the line today, and it's going to be, it's going to be that. And we just got told from our producer that we have to do a double rapid fire with Cousin Joy tonight.
Before we do that, we have to step back a step.
Okay.
Right?
Go ahead.
2 steps back.
2 steps.
To find out about this Shaka Khan thing.
Uh-oh.
That right there is money in the bank. A Shaka Khan story that feeds my soul.
Wait 1 second, John. Shaka Khan lawyer. Sorry, John. They said we can't talk about that. No.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to tell me. You're gonna have to tell me something later.
Yeah, I'm gonna message y'all later. No, it's not that big a deal. I just happen to be a big Shaka Khan fan. So I have been in, moments when I've either been close enough to be like, I'm almost there. Look, I'm this close to her. And, people are not groupies. They don't get you when you are that level of a groupie. They're just like, it's wrong. Something's really wrong. I was like that for her and Tracy Chapman. That's another
Tracy Chapman, man.
Yeah.
All right, rapid fire, Rez. Explain the game.
All righty. Rapid fire is a word association game we play with everybody that comes on, Joy. And what it does is it gives people a peek behind the veil. Now, you've heard of rapid fire in school, the word association games.
No, I don't. I'm not that chick. But go ahead.
All right. So I'll say a word. I'll say a word, and then you say what immediately comes to mind. Now, we've just been told by our producer who watches the show and governs our existence, making sure we don't cut up too much. He says we need to do a double. Now, this is history because this is the first time he's actually instructed us that we need to do a double rapid fire with Cousin Joy tonight.
Okay.
All right. So that being said, I'm going to go first. I'm going to say some words. You say the immediate thing, word or thing that pops into your brain. And then JaVonne's going to go. Then I'm going to go again.
Can you bleep me if I said something that's inappropriate?
There's no bleeps. There's no bleeps.
The point is there's nothing inappropriate. That's the thing.
Okay.
Right. Nothing
and
inappropriate.
I could bleep you, but we would not.
Nope. Sure don't.
Okay, let me get my head wrapped around it. Okay, here goes.
Let me know when you're ready.
More than ever. Let's go.
Okay. Community.
Love.
Family.
Time.
Black people.
Powerful.
Children.
Future.
Woman.
Peace.
Peace.
Tranquility.
There's no right or wrong answer. These are all you. Time.
Enough.
Abundance.
Grateful.
Mother.
Teacher.
Father.
Wisdom.
Okay. JaVonne, you up next.
She said the whole dictionary. There's another word left.
Because I got family here, and my parents clearly are not on any kind of social media, just in case it gets back.
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, you start?
No.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Love.
Said that one already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Men.
Stories.
Rapture.
The end.
Bible. What was the first word? What was that first word? I saw it.
First word was truth. But I had to think about that a little bit.
Quran.
No wrong answer.
Perspectives.
Personality.
I'm not going to say joy, but yeah, this is not again.
You can.
What was the word?
You said personality?
Yeah.
Fun.
Laughter.
Freedom.
Joy.
Calm.
Shaka Khan.
You're a lawyer.
Got it. Go ahead.
You let me stay in the green room.
All right, me up again. All right, so I'm going to take it this way now. I warmed you up, so let's go. Life.
Oh, we still doing rapid fire?
Oh, we had to do a double dose. That's what we were told.
Okay.
Double dose.
Okay.
Life.
Bread.
Protest.
Anger.
Gift.
Timeless.
Sex.
What'd you say? Did you say what I thought you said?
Sex.
You didn't say text.
No.
Like,
S-E-X. Sex.
Fulfillment.
That would be good sex.
So, yeah, right. Now, JaVonne said Bible and Quran, but I'm going to say religion.
I'm going to say light.
Language.
Connect.
Music.
Voice.
And my last one is going to be 1970s. What comes to mind?
Mother Africa.
JaVonne, you up next.
So I'm going to use some of the words that our commenting family here has been putting up.
I don't have my glasses on. They've been chiming in.
You are adorable. You know that? So let's do laughter.
You said laughter?
Laughter.
Loud.
Freedom.
Me.
Spiritual.
Looking.
Dress.
Style.
Passion.
Breath.
Bathtub.
I'm gonna get you two later for this. I'm gonna shut up, people. Okay.
Scrubbing bubbles.
For your dishes.
Library.
A lie you bury.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Let that sit for a second.
Melanin.
Mm.
Sunburst.
Libra.
Capricorn.
Scorpio.
Hey,
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I'm not repeating. I just recorded.
It is. I'm gonna find out what you said too, and I'm probably gonna like it. Thank you so much for playing our game.
A lie you bury. That was.
I know she almost took me out with that one.
Yeah, that was deep. You both said, "Whoa."
Yeah.
I know. Thank you so much. Now, would you do a drop for our show?
Yes.
Hi, this is Joy Rankin, and you're listening to WJBR Internet Radio.
Oh, wait, I should have wrote that down. Text that to me, Terry. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
It is a lot.
WJBR. JBR, okay. What's the beginning again?
Your name. Say your name. Your name.
Okay, I get it. This is Joy Rankin of the Diggable Library Lounge, and you are listening to WJBR Radio.
That's good.
Nice.
That's good.
Nice.
I should have said JaVonne and Terez.
That's the second one.
Right.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, Hi, this is Joy Rankin, and you're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez.
Ready? Hi, this is Joy Rankin, and you are in the basement with JaVonne and Terez.
Groovy.
Perfect.
Groovy.
Yes.
I did that in front of all you people.
Yes, she did.
Yes, you did.
You know, because JaVonne has little finicky and sneaky fingers, like we all like to say. And what she does is she creates outros and intros to the show. So when she does, we keep every blooper because they always make us funny. She's always doing something.
There's gonna be a couple today, I guess.
So you know, like you saw some of the intros, and we have outros to the show of some of the people that we've interviewed and the funny things that come up in the interviews. So you know, nothing gets buried. It's like a smorgasbord that
nothing gets buried.
Nope.
Except the lie.
Yeah.
That was deep though. Library.
Oh yeah.
Where the lies are buried.
Yeah.
Lie.
Ooh, that's deep, and it's true.
Yeah.
She ain't lie, Rez. She ain't lie.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You know, I mean, there's so many conversations that we've had. There's so many that we didn't have. And I just hope that all your guests walk away understanding that they too are what I call legacy strategists. Yeah. And to untap or to tap into, you know, unspoken stories, our families. We have amazing sets of stories in our families. Some not hurtful. None of it's hurtful. It's just how we engage it or how we define it. But I'm hoping that everybody understands even your own story is going to impact someone's life. So if you have something in terms of your medical health that you know the family should know about, you know, like even me sitting here going, WJBR what? And I'm, you know, in my family, I was like, how long has it been you guys been forgetting stuff? When did that start? What do I need to do to be in an awareness of that? I don't think that's my story yet, so I'm not even going to call it. But we have that. Everybody here has something that you can now start impacting. And let's go back and do what's right. And you start with yourself. Right. Yeah, and thank you again, JaVonne, for sharing that Howard Thurman's word of the day. And he said, as JaVonne shared earlier, you know, when we learn facts about ourselves, and we learn that as we go into deeper and deeper into our journeys. Once you learn facts about yourself, it alters your self-image of yourself.
It's funny, we had Bernadette Stanis of Good Times fame on the show, and she talked a lot about her mom's journey and her journey with her mom's dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia. And she and because of that, you know, she found her calling to be her foundation that she started, Remembering the Good Times. Yeah, it's amazing. And she said, you know, and she gave resources to call, and she says, and she actually talks to you, you know, on your journey with it. And it was amazing. So there's been some, like, we had some amazing discoveries and people have talked on. And once you become a basement alumni, you can always come back, you know, at any given time. You could be working on something, you want to promote something, you want to come on and talk to us about something you discovered. You can have what we call peeling the onion session where you got to get some stuff off. You come by and we have this space where you ring the doorbell and we don't know who's dropping in. And when you ring the bell, boom, here's Joy. She's here to talk about, what's up, Joy? And we talk to you just like you just came by the house, because that's what it is. So, like, you know, we have a lot of folks right now on the chat saying, great show. And thank you, y'all, for, you know, y'all make it great. You know, Joy, I can't say enough. Thank you for coming. And tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
So I'm a simple Joy Rankin on Facebook, but I do have Instagram, and it's diggable.library.lounge.2020. Look for me there. Now I have to do the work because now I've given you an address to find me, and you'll be looking for my content soon.
There we go.
I'm going to do a soft launch on May 6th. That's the birthday of my 2-year-old granddaughter. So, and her name is Layla Joy. So yes, I'm going to launch it on her birthday. So please come back and find me in those spaces.
Yes.
And thank you, my newest baby sister.
That's what's up. Yeah. And you have my email address and everything, and we'll get you set up.
Okay, great.
All right.
Absolutely, what we talked about earlier. So, Terez, you keep showing us in this family and in this lifetime keep listening to the little girl who is saying she's raising her hand, but she ain't raising her hand. There's so many of them out there. Listen to them. They're going to be the Terez's and JaVonne of life. So thank you both. Yeah.
Amen. Joy, love you and thank you. Shout out to everybody that showed up. Shout out to Lynn. I see you.
And hugs to Monifa for us as well, babe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, that's what's
Kick me back in the basement. I mean, kick me in the green room or something. What do I do?
I'm about to put us all in the green room in a second. So, everybody, enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much for listening. Please tell somebody about this fabulous, wonderful thing we got going here in the basement. WJBR Internet Radio. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't keep this to yourself. Don't be like that, baby.
That's right. Go get the music. There's 24-hour radio station. Y'all know what it is. Peace. You say what immediately comes to mind. There's no wrong answers. They're all, just to give the people a kind of a peek behind the veil. Oh, you ready, Kimmy? All right.
I think so.
It is not that deep. Like it is.
I like my veil. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like first one ever that said that. We've done this with every first one ever that said, "I like my veil." Perfect.
That was perfect.
Music.
Songbird. That sounds random, but there's a reason.
Motherhood.
Difficult but rewarding. Wait, can it be, do I have to respond in one word?
It could be whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
But it should be the first thing that
comes to mind.
First thing that comes to mind.
Okay, difficult.
You made it that way. Look at that. Like
love.
Tosh, my husband.
Community.
Church for me.
And my last one is God.
Ooh. All powerful.
You're up next, JaVonne.
Personality.
My mom.
Fire.
Trials.
Children.
Blessings.
Money.
We need it.
Shaka Khan.
Ooh. Like wild and free.
Mo?
All right. You would have thought that I was sitting here getting my words together, right? Okay.
Oh, Lord.
All right. Okay. So, confidence.
Growth or growing.
Fame.
Overrated.
Woo! That's my baby. I'm sorry. Forgiveness.
Daily. Gotta do it daily.
Amen. Monifa.
Mom. No.
Yay. All right. Okay. And lastly, grandmother.
I don't know. you? I don't know. Love and nurture.
I have one more. I would just like, what comes to mind when you hear a Kemi?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Layered. More complex than what meets the eye, I think.
Nice. Nice. Thank you.
Hi, this is Kemi Anderson, and you're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez.
The night is young, the winds shouting in joy. Am I too late? I'm lost in the stars.
Hi, everybody. You're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. This is Melba Moore.
Still in the basement, no longer alone, with my homegirl Terez on the microphone. Music, politics, or just chatting it up. Brunch in the basement, see that's what's up. You never know who might run through. Legendary artist or someone brand new. You miss a lot when you miss one day. At least that's what I heard somebody say. But it doesn't really matter what whoever says. It's always a good show with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Brunch in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Let's see who we got today.
Come on, everybody's a friend in my head. I already know everybody. Whatever it is, it's gonna be good. One day I'll tell you about me and Shaka Khan, but you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but she doesn't know anything about it. But anyway. No, she doesn't. She wasn't even there actually. But anyway.
All our bosses though, Jay. Like, she's got our ears and
I'm gonna send y'all some perfume. I'll definitely get an address. I'll send y'all out.
You can send me some cologne, because I mean, you know. Yeah. Just in case I should meet Shaka Khan, I want to smell really, you know, nice.
Oh God.
Okie dokie, babe. Whatever you say.
The time, so
and we thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. This part, that little piece, I'm just gonna keep and play it all the time for myself. But no, I'm just teasing.